YouTube, how's it going? The GoDows is back with my NFL Week 3 score predictions and picks against the spread here every single Wednesday with this video. Straight up picks with the other guys at the GoDows already up for Week 3. That goes up every Tuesday night. We have power rankings. We have the bets video still to come. You see the schedule of all the content. We're always adding more. It's in the bottom left there. So join us for this content. Like, subscribe to notifications on. You will not be disappointed. Follow us on Twitter. Very important live analysis during games, news, rumors, updates, and Twitter subs get bonus content you see underneath me. And our sponsors, GLD Shop, Liquid IV, code GOAT on both those sites. Have the Bengals chain on from the GLD Shop. We have a giveaway with them. We'll be giving away a pendant and a chain. Links pinned in the comments for that. Our sponsors, social media, any recent videos, anything like that. Check it all out. We have a picks league. It's not too late to join as well. So to the score predictions, we're going to go through my score predictions. And, I mean, you get an idea about my picks against the spread, but we'll recap my picks against the spread at the end, and it'll show my record through the 2 weeks, too. So Thursday Night Football, probably not going to be a good one, but who knows? Maybe the Giants figured something out in the second half. Well, they did figure something out in the second half against the Cardinals, but was it just for that game, or was it for, are the Giants back to last year form? I guess we'll find out in this game, but they're going to be without Saquon Barkley for 6 quarters. The Giants have looked like maybe the worst team in football up until those last 2 quarters we saw, and now they play arguably the best team in football in San Francisco on Thursday night. So, without Saquon, who really got going in that second half, and so did Daniel Jones, but in the struggle at the receiver position. I just don't know how they're going to be able to generate enough points against the San Francisco 49ers defense. I think the 49ers will create turnovers. I think they'll get plenty of stops as well. And I'm not really worried about the 49ers offense. The Giants usually, where their defense succeeds, it's against teams that are really thrown off against the blitz, mainly is what it is. And I don't know. I just don't think the veteran 49ers, under Shanahan team's going to really be thrown off by it. I mean, maybe Purdy can get a little rattled, but I don't really see it. I think a big win for the 49ers, 27-13, but this will be we'll learn a bit from this game. If the Giants play it closer, or if they somehow win this game, and it just seems like they turned the corner in the second half of that Cardinals game, and it just wasn't just for that game, but we'll see. I don't have a lot of faith in them for this one at all. Niners are very tough. On to the Sunday slate of games. Titans-Browns, a tough one to pick because the Browns lost Nick Chubb, and they got beat up. Other than that as well, but mainly is the Nick Chubb injury, who will be out the rest of the year. So that they take a hit in the running game. Even though Jerome Ford's looked pretty good, they take a hit in the running game, especially going against the Titans, who I think have the best run defense in football, and they've had the best run defense in football. So I think Nick Chubb would have done a little bit of damage on them, so now it might be tough. I don't expect much offense at all in this game. I'm still going to pick the Browns, mainly because of their pass rush. The Titans, Ryan Tannehill in week 1, they barely lost to the Saints, but he turned the ball over 3 times against a really good secondary. Now you're playing a really good secondary in the Browns, but also a really good pass rush that can win the old-fashioned way with Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith on the outside, or through the blitz as well. And they have Jim Schwartz, who was coaching with the Titans the last couple years. He's the defense coordinator of the Browns. So I think things kind of side towards the Browns, but yeah, short week. After being away, getting beat up, that's tough. The Titans are a tough team to play. They have a good defense. Deshaun Watson's a little careless with the ball right now. I think Jeffrey Simmons can get some good pressure. Maybe they create some turnovers as well. But I'm thinking the Browns get at least one takeaway, and maybe Deshaun Watson with his legs makes that one extra play, whether it's running, scrambling, or throwing on the getting outside the pocket away from big Jeffrey Simmons, throwing on the run. I think the main reason to me, Browns being at home and that pass rush with the strong secondary, having Jim Schwartz. So I'm leaning Browns, but I think it's going to be really tight. I do think Derrick Henry has a pretty good game in this one. If they can run as much as possible and control the clock, that's kind of their best bet to win, or creating turnovers on defense. But I think it'll be tough. I think it'll go either way. 17-16 is what I got. So the Titans covering the spread, but the Browns squeaking by in winning. I think that a lot of these spread picks are going to be kind of tight. Not this one, but the straight up pick. Straight up picks are fairly easy, but again, not this one, but we'll see. Another tough one to pick, I think, straight up or against the spread. The Falcons at the Lions. I'm going to take the Lions in this one, 26-24, but we are monitoring something here. We are monitoring Amon-Ra St. Brown. Keep an eye on that. He did not practice today. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because that's their best weapon. He opens things up for everyone else. He makes things easier for the offense for Jared Goff. He's a man coverage beater, which the Falcons could mix it up, but Ryan Nielsen really wants to run some man coverage. They've been really good in that, but the Lions beat that up, but they need St. Brown out there. If he's out, I think I'm going to take the Falcons. The Falcons are one of the more healthier teams in football right now, actually, which is huge for them, obviously. And even if St. Brown plays, the Falcons can win the game still because they're a very good team. The defense has improved for sure, and they can run the ball. Bijan Robinson can torch the Lions. It's Robinson versus Jahmyr Gibbs. That should be pretty fun. But he can torch the Lions. They can control the clock, because the Lions are explosive to the pass game, but the Falcons, by running the ball, controlling the clock, they can keep the ball out of the hands of Jared Goff and the Lions, and that would be how maybe they can have some takeaways. That could be how they win the game. They haven't really seen the Lions pass offense yet. They played the Panthers, who are struggling in that category, and the Packers, who are like, in that category. So the Lions passing game, I should say, at home against the Falcons is a new challenge, and the Falcons could be up for it, obviously. So the Lions, I think with their explosive offense, a new test for the Falcons, I think they kind of just get by here. But their defense is still struggling. They've actually been all right against the run. I don't think they'll be that good against the run in this game. But again, I still have them getting by here. But that's the big thing I'm looking out for here, Desmond Ridder, because you can throw on the Lions. You can throw on the Lions, and that's how you beat them. Ridder, hasn't been, they've been a good team, and he's getting the job done in the end of games, but he hasn't been great through the air. So he has to be great in this game. He has to be. He has to be good. So that's something I'm watching out for here. So I'll take the Lions to win. If St. Brown's out, we last week, some weeks we'll do an updated video of this, like scores that I've changed against the spread picks because of line changes that I've changed. We did one last week. We won't, if it's necessary. So this is a game that could force that video later in the week. So we'll see. Because if St. Brown's out, maybe go with the Falcons here. But even if he's in, the Falcons could win. But I'm feeling the Lions. I don't think they drop 2 straight at home. They do have some injuries, though, so those are some things we're watching for there. That should be a really good game. Another really good game, and a tough one. The Saints are getting 2.5 points. I have them winning by 2, so obviously covering that spread in Green Bay. This is tough because the Saints got a short week and back-to-back road games. They kind of got shafted by the scheduling on that one because they had a Jamal Williams injury in there, too. So short week, and they were already away in that game. Now they're away again. And on top of it, the Packers get their home opener, so you think there's some extra momentum in a game like that. So I think the Saints kind of got screwed in terms of the scheduling there. It's unfortunate, whatever. But I still have them winning. I like them in this game. The Packers are very beat up. Aaron Jones didn't practice today. It doesn't mean he won't be back. I think Christian Watson will be back. Bakhtiari is up in the air as well. Elgin Jenkins probably going to be out, obviously. So they're a little beat up, but the Saints really don't have a running back right now because the suspension of Kamara and Jamal Williams is out. So I don't really expect much of a running game. So in it being the Green Bay Packers home opener, those are things to side with the Packers. But I'm feeling the Saints. Look at the Packers 2 games. They played the Bears. Not much of a passing game from the Bears, and they're one of the worst teams in football. And they played the Falcons, which they blew a comeback to. But the Falcons don't have much passing game as well. So yeah, Carr's been a little inconsistent, but this is still an explosive passing game. They'll have those explosive plays. Whether it's Olave, Shaheed, Michael Thomas. Because he's still got it as well, still got those strong hands. And they haven't really used Juwan Johnson much at all, so I'd watch out for that. So they haven't really, and the Packers secondary is good, but they haven't really played this explosive a pass game yet. So I think the Saints, again, I have them scoring 19 points. I don't think they'll go crazy with points. I think they'll be able to move the ball. I think more field goals from them than touchdowns. I think they'll be able to move the ball more than what the score. That's kind of been the theme of the Saints so far. But I think they do enough. So I do like the Saints in that category, but I love their secondary, and Jordan Love, really hasn't faced this, veteran, tough defense yet. And again, the Falcons are better than expected in terms of defense, but I think Dennis Allen will have something for Jordan Love, and he's been playing well, but I think he'll make his job a lot harder. So there's, I just don't think the Packers get enough going offensively. I guess we'll see if Aaron Jones is in or out. And the Saints make that extra play, mainly with their secondary, but through the air on offense as well. There's just multiple things that are just siding with the Saints for me. So 19-17, both these teams, when they get in the red zone, they'll have to execute. That'll be big. So I think both these teams will get in the red zone a bit. Who will execute, who will not, who will get touchdowns instead of field goals, which I have the Saints kicking a bunch of field goals and still winning, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And they were underdogs in that one. Broncos, Dolphins, I have the Dolphins covering this one. I have them winning by 10. They're favored by 6. I like the matchup for them, and they're at home. I mean, it's probably Miami's probably the toughest place to play, or one of the toughest places to play early in the season, because the Heat, they're obviously in the way the stadium's structured with the shade on one side and not the other side. It's just, how it is. And on top of that, the Dolphins are very good, one of the best teams in football right now. On top of that, they're just better than the Broncos. And the Broncos were home, and they have a home field advantage, and they lost both those games with home field advantage. So I just don't know if they have much of a shot. I think the shot for them is to pound the ball to Javonte Williams and get him going, but will they get down early so that it'll take it away? I think Vic Fangio gets some revenge here. I think his defense played better last week. I think it plays even better this week. So I don't really, Broncos, I thought about more, 20 points around there. But I think the Dolphins overall have a really good day. Mostert had a really good game last week. Mike McDaniel sometimes a little hesitant to run the ball. The Broncos have not looked good against the run. So I would like for them to continue to get Mostert those touches and see if he gets those explosive plays. But the Dolphins are very, very capable of winning through the air as well, and more capable. So everything just sides with the Dolphins, on the field and being on that field at home. So I like them covering that 6. It is kind of a lot of points. It's a lot of big spreads this week, but I got them winning 27-17. Next, this should be a battle. I mean, these are two teams that are supposed to be good. In the back of our minds, we might think still maybe can be good, but they're both 0-2. An 0-2 battle. We have an even line right now. I like the Vikings in this one as long as they don't get crazy with the turnovers again, which it could happen, but some of them were just normal turnovers, but some of the 2 weeks were a little fluky, so maybe those are in the past. For the Vikings' sake, I hope so. The Chargers haven't turned the ball over, and they're still losing, so what's the fix there? Their defense looks really bad. The Vikings' offense looks super explosive. Still, they're just turning the ball over. So I think, even without the run, I mean, their passing game looks insane right now. So I think it'll keep up. The Chargers run a lot of man coverage. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. These guys are praying for man coverage. So they're going to beat it. They just can't have those weird turnovers. But the downside of the Vikings offense is they have not been able to run the ball, but they've played the top 2 run defenses in football. Now they play the Chargers. I think they'll be able to generate some running game, and they're home. I don't see them going 0-2 at home either. Of course, Justin Herbert should have a pretty good day through the air, but he always does, and they can't pull off games. We'll see if Eckler's healthy. It looks like you can run the Vikings, but I think they mainly had an issue with the read option, of the Eagles, which we won't really see from the Chargers. But it's close to a 50-50 game. I think the matchup, I think there's more things that kind of get open for the Vikings in this matchup, and they're at home. They've actually looked, the Vikings, they either turn the ball over, they give up a big run, or they look really, really good in terms of the pass rush a little bit, but on offense. So they've had some really good moments. I think they're due for a win here. They're also due for a fumble. They haven't fumbled since last Thursday, and they fumbled a ton. So we'll see if they cut the shit there. So we'll see. But that should be a pretty good one there. I like the Vikings 30-27. I thought about having both teams in the 30s. It'll be around that range. It should be a fun one. Patriots, Jets. I have an upset here. The Jets are getting 3 points, and I have them winning. It is tough to pick Zach Wilson, especially against a good defense, especially against Bill Belichick's defense, and the Patriots are due for a win. They've had some good moments during these losses. But I'm feeling the Jets in this one. I love the Jets defense. I think it's the 3rd best defense in football behind the Cowboys and the 49ers. So this defense will make plays. Mac Jones is, I think, a little more efficient. They're airing the ball out a little bit more. They have more explosive plays, but he still has that turnover potential. And he's going against a really solid, well-coached Jets defense that gets a pass rush, while the Patriots, the offensive lines they're putting out there aren't great at all, not good at all. So they'll get a pass rush. They'll mix up the zone coverages, which should throw off Mac Jones. And they have a good secondary that can get their hands on the ball, obviously. And they have Sauce who can lock things down. So I think this defense is going to make plays. Zach Wilson just can't. He's going to turn the ball over probably. He just can't just blow the game completely. Like, he can single-handedly lose this game. But what the Patriots do, and again, I think this would be a defensive game. This is kind of like the max scoring that I have. Or, I shouldn't say that. Maybe we could have gone like a 20-19. But I also could see like a 13-12 or 14-13, something like that as well here. But what the Patriots defense does well, and they'll have a pass rush against a weaker Jets offensive line. The Jets offensive line could get better, though, because they got a lot of young guys that should improve every step of the way, and they're healthy right now, knock on wood, because you didn't really expect them to be, but they could play a little better than expected in this game. But what the Patriots do well is kind of take the best thing away from the Jets, and I think the focus will be the run game. I think because the Patriots have struggled against the run, so I do think Breece Hall could do some damage, but I think the focus will be on that, the backfield, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. That doesn't mean they'll completely stop it. But then, Garrett Wilson, even with Zach Wilson out there, could really go. Like, he can be gone at any given time. So there actually is a few things you kind of got to worry about with the Jets, despite the quarterback play being bad. I'd watch out for Breece Hall through the passing game as well, catching the ball. And the Patriots do got to do a better job stopping these running backs. I just got to feel, it's just a kind of a gut feeling. I feel pretty good about the Jets defense this game. So I will take them, and they're getting 3 points. So that looks pretty good for them. Another really good game, the Bills against the Commanders. The Bills really figured something out last week, but so did the Commanders. I mean, that offense looked super explosive. Both these offenses could really stretch defenses. Make you worry about the underneath, the quarterback taking off, or the deep ball. I do like the Bills winning because this is more of a test for the Commanders. That's a tough part because the Commanders have been super impressive, but they played the Cardinals and the Broncos. So they can be overwhelmed by the Bills because even the Broncos scored a bit of points on the Commanders, and the Bills got a pretty good defense. So I either see the Bills as beating them up big time or it being really close, and the Commanders could win if it's really close, obviously. So maybe they could be overwhelmed by the talent they haven't seen yet, so the Bills can win big. The Commanders have a pretty damn good defensive line and pass rush, and the Bills' offensive line could be a little sus at times, so they can get after Josh Allen, create some turnovers, and I do think running backs could have pretty solid days, even though Josh Jacobs didn't, but that wasn't really because of the Raiders' run game. That was because the Bills held the ball for over 40 minutes, so the Raiders couldn't run the ball. But I do think Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, whether it's on the ground or through the air, could be a big factor and a reason the Commanders could win this game. Their D-line and that aspect of their offense could be their keys, could be their reason. But it's a new challenge. The Commanders weren't tested enough yet for this, so I will go with the Bills, even though the Commanders could win. I'll go 24-20. I think a lot of rolling clock on this one. So maybe not as much scoring as these teams are capable of scoring, which maybe keeps it under that 6.5. But that's a scary one because, again, I see the scenario where the Bills win by like 14 or whatever it may be. I could see that scenario. But I got 24-20 Bills. That should be a fun game. Texans and Jags. I got the Jags winning 27-20. It's a tough one against the spread, too, because the Texans really struggle against Gardner Minshew through the air. So with the Jags' weapons and Trevor Lawrence, they should struggle a little bit, right? So you would think maybe 10-plus points win for the Jags. I do think the Texans will get some guys back. Laramie Tunsil practiced today. Jimmy Ward practiced. Petrie still out. Some other guy. Denzel Perriman didn't practice today either. So I still like D'Amico Ryans as the defensive game planner and play caller. The Jags offense a little inconsistent. I think they can probably break away in this game. They kind of slow down. The Texans can come back a little bit. I do like the way C.J. Stroud's playing with Tank Dell. Maybe Pierce gets going a little bit more in this game. So I think it'll end up being a little closer than that 9.5, even though it just seems like a lot. But it is very tough because I can just see the Jags. I almost had Jags winning by 10 here. I could 30-20. I can see that as well. I guess we'll monitor the injuries of the Texans, but Laramie Tunsil's the big one. He's the big one there. He practiced today, so I think he's going to be back. And Stroud should be able to continue to progress, but a tougher defense this week than he played last week, so we'll see. 27-20 Jacksonville is what I got on that one as of now. Colts and Ravens. Anthony Richardson still in concussion protocol. I think the Ravens would have a pretty good game plan for him as well. I think through the air they would take the ball away. On the ground he would have to do some damage, but even if he played, they probably want him to run less because he's got injured in both games. Ravens defense is so smart. It's well coached. It's one of the tougher defenses in football. So I think they'll have a plan for Richardson. And if Gardner Minshew threw the ball well last week, but it's the Ravens defense. I think they'll get after him in the blitz, and they'll take the ball away. The Colts will look to, turn to Zach Moss, probably, who had a good game last week, but against the Ravens run defense, probably not. There's just multiple signs that say the Colts aren't going to score many points. So I'm confident with them around 13. The Colts defense is kind of sneaky decent. Sometimes the Ravens offense gets a little stale, so I could see this being an extremely low-scoring game, and maybe the Colts covering because of that, but I think they got to get, I was in the 23, 24 range, 26 for the Ravens. I think the Todd Monken offense is kind of just getting going. Mark Andrews only his second week this week. Lamar really, something happened last week where he took another step up, I thought. And they can get Zay Flowers going. They can get, OBJ is expected to be okay. Aguilar played pretty well last week. So I like the Ravens covering the spread. I like them winning by 10. I just don't see much going for the Colts offense in this one. I think the game plan favors the Ravens defense to be able to game plan and stop the Colts offense here, no matter who's playing quarterback. Next one is an interesting game. When Bryce Young came up on the injury report today, he actually didn't practice because I think it was a foot or an ankle injury. The quarterback really doesn't change much for me. And I would love for Bryce Young to play because it's an opportunity for a possible opportunity for him to break out because Seattle's pass defense is not good. Their defense, the Seahawks are good, but their defense isn't that good in general. So, and the Panthers have played the Falcons and the Saints defenses who are much better. So this would be a good opportunity. Bryce Young really hasn't been playing that good, but it'd be nice to see if he can do it, if he could step up. But Andy Dalton, smart quarterback, you'll be able to game plan for the Seahawks zone defense. So I don't think it really changes much. Maybe Dalton could even be even better because it's still early in Bryce Young's career and he's struggling a little bit. So this is an interesting matchup. I actually think it favors the Panthers regardless who's at quarterback because, again, they played really tough defenses, and the Seahawks are not a tough defense. I think the Panthers would be able to run the ball. I think they'd be able to throw the ball. I think something clicked at the end of last game against a really good secondary in the Saints with, Thielen and Bryce Young, or even if it's Dalton. I think Dalton and Thielen could have a good connection. So I do think they'll be able to get some things going. I do think they'll start with the run game, though, which could run the clock. And I think the Seahawks actually could run Walker a little bit more. So I would think more scoring, but I think a lot of running clock in this one. But also the Panthers got a good pass rush. We saw it against the Saints last week. The Seattle Seahawks are beat up at tackle. Also, the Panthers under Ejiro Evero run that cover for Rams background defense because Evero is a Rams guy. It's what he did with the Denver Broncos, what he did with the Carolina Panthers. And the Seahawks kind of struggled against that in week one. The Panthers aren't the Rams. They don't have Aaron Donald, but they got some talent out there. So there are things that actually side with the Panthers, but just a struggle at the quarterback position, the lack of takeover from the receiver position, and not having J.C. Horn out there, and Seattle having a fire offense, and I think they can get Walker going. I think Geno would be able to air the ball out, and the Panthers pass rush could be the difference. Again, there's a lot of matchup that favors the Panthers, but I think Seattle's just a better team. I just don't know if the Panthers just don't have enough juice right now. They don't have that extra firepower right now. I guess we're on defense with Brian Burns they do. Other thing, Shaq Thompson went down injured. So, again, a lot of things actually say Panthers in trap game here, but the Seahawks are just better. They're at home. I go 24-20, but because of the matchup parts that I like, I will keep it under the 6 for the Carolina Panthers. And right now, we'll see, but I don't know if that changes much with the quarterback. We'll see if the line changes if the quarterback changes. So that's an interesting game to me. Next, Bears and Chiefs. Yeah, not much of a game here. The Bears just lost their left tackle for 4 games at least, Braxton Jones, so that makes it even tougher, for them, and they're just not playing that well. And what I liked about the Chiefs last week against a very good Jags offense is they were tight in coverage. So that could cause problems for the Bears passing game. They're going to run the football there, try to run the clock. That's what they're going to try to do. And the Chiefs will have a good game plan. And the Chiefs really haven't got going on offense yet. And they're probably itching to. Matt Nagy, revenge game. I think they go out there and explode on offense. So 31-16. It's a big spread. I'm always very scared with the big spreads, like 12.5. But I have them covering. There. And pretty similar situation is the Cowboys-Cardinals, which the Cardinals have put up a fight against some teams. They played the Commanders and the Giants, and they're playing arguably the best team in football in the Cowboys. With that defense, they'll just take the ball away. They'll make Josh Dobbs' life a living hell in this game. They'll take the ball away. And Dobbs has been all right, but not in this game. Cowboys' defense is insane. Again, they'll stop them. They'll take the ball away. They'll do enough on offense. So I like them around this range. 24-10, 27-10 is what I have, but 24-10, anywhere around there, 30-10, and then covering that 12 either way, even though it's a big spread. So there you have that one. Steelers-Raiders. The Raiders are favored by 2.5, so another upset that I have here. I like the Steelers in this game. There is one reason, it's a pretty good reason, the Raiders are favored by 2.5. I guess 2 reasons. One, that they're home on Sunday Night Football, but number 2, the run game. And the Raiders didn't have much of a run game last week with Josh Jacobs, who is still a very good back. But that was because the Bills held the ball for 40-plus minutes. It was ridiculous. The Raiders barely had any chances. They're playing from down. You can't run the ball in that situation. So that is the reason why they couldn't get much going in the run game. And the Steelers are dead last in run defense right now. So the Raiders could come out and just pound the football, win the time of possession, and then win the game and run all over them. It is very, very possible. And I think that's what Vegas is banking on here. But I do think the Steelers' run defense is a little better than what the stats say. And I don't really trust McDaniels to kind of stick to something like that. At the same time, I do think the Steelers are the better team as well. The defense just creates turnovers. They get pass rush. They create turnovers. And I don't think they'll get a load of turnovers in this game, but they're going to get one. They got to get one here. And the Steelers offense, especially Kenny Pickett, has been pretty underwhelming so far. There was a lot of, upside on him. You seen down the stretch of last year, the Raiders game being one of them. And then preseason, it's like, okay, we'll see this upside. And he's been very underwhelming. I think this is a breakout game for him. I think it has to be. The Raiders defense is definitely one of the weaker ones in football. They rely on Max Crosby. That's what they rely on. Max Crosby, and that's pretty much it, too. So he could have a day, but I think Kenny Pickett has a breakout game, which he should. He should. Let's make a big deal about it, but get the ball to George Pickens. That guy can play. Get the ball to Freiermuth a little bit more. Use Jalen Warren a little bit more because he's solid. I like them generating a little bit more offense in this game and getting that one turnover that changes the game here. So I do like the Steelers, but if the Raiders win, it's going to be because they run the shit out of the ball. So they have an opportunity here, but I do like the Steelers. I'm surprised they're getting 2.5 points. 2 Monday night games, Eagles-Bucks, a tough one to pick against the spread, but I do have the Eagles winning 26-20, so that meant they cover that. The Bucks have been doing very well. They've been doing very well taking the run away from opposing offenses. And the Eagles, their pass game doesn't look the same as it was last year, but the run game is dominant, but the Bucks can take it away. The Eagles are kind of out of options here. But I think, with A.J. Brown getting frustrated and then putting more emphasis on the passing game at that point last week, I think they kind of get a little bit more going here. Nothing crazy, but then they get a little bit more going through the air. I think Hurts and A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith have a pretty decent game. Dallas Goedert as well. But the main reason here is the Bucks won't be able to run the ball too much. And the Eagles defense hasn't been, in the secondary hasn't been as great, but that pass rush I think will get after Baker, kind of will make that offense one-dimensional. So I think the Eagles will do enough in this game. But the Bucks have been impressive. They're home in prime time. And the Eagles have been, even though they're 2-0, they've been a little underwhelming, so you never know here. But I got a 26-20 final for the Philadelphia Eagles. In the last game, which if we do an updated video, this could be one that creates that because Joe Burrow is questionable. He may not play. I'm banking on him playing. If he is out, I am taking the Rams, and I'm probably taking the Rams in any type of spread as well, even though it's going to be something monstrous because the Bengals got no shot if they don't have Joe Burrow. They got absolutely no shot. It's going to be a bloodbath. I'm not even going to watch the game. I'll watch the other game until it's over. Then I'll turn this game on because I have to. But that's kind of the case if Joe Burrow's out. So keep that in mind. I got the Rams in an ass beating if Joe Burrow's out. But if Joe Burrow plays, it could still go either way because the Rams are playing civil have been better than the Bengals last couple weeks. But I'm going to take the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow will play. I would not touch this one against the spread. That is very, very tough. I have them winning by 3 and they're favored by 2. It's very tough. The Bengals have been playing bad, but they started 0-2 last year. Then something clicked. I think something will click here. Home, wearing the whiteout jerseys. Home on Monday night, prime time. Everyone's doubting them right now. I think they get some passing game going. I think I don't think the Rams have the corners to be able to hang with these the variety of receivers the Cincinnati Bengals have. I think the Rams will get some offense going too. So maybe a little more offense than you expect because the Bengals haven't gotten much going. But I think it'll be actually more of a, if Burrow plays, more of a, it's a somewhat of a shootout, not fully a shootout, but a little more offense than you expect here. So I'm feeling the Bengals and the much needed bounce back. If Burrow plays and they lose, maybe it is panic time, even though it's not like a bad loss because the Rams are pretty good right now. And the Rams do have a shot. Aaron Donald can cause a ruckus. Stafford can do his thing. Got to take care of the football. So we'll see. But I got the Bengals as long as Burrow plays 27-24. And let's take a look at my against the spread picks here. So on the year, we're 20-10. And again, keep an eye out if necessary for that updated against the spread score predictions video. Because I did that last week, not in week 1. It won't be every week. But there was some that I tweaked or changed. Not even close to all. But so week 1 was a little better than week 2, but 20-10 overall. 49ers -10 was a pick this week. Titans +3. That's a tricky one though. Falcons are tricky. +3. You feel pretty good about the extra half there, the 3.5. Saints +2.5. I have them winning the game. You'd feel really comfortable. It was 3, but I have them winning the game for multiple reasons. They're 2.5. The Dolphins I have winning by 10. I got them covering. The Vikings even line. It's a kind of a 50-50 game. The Jets I have winning and they're +3. I'm surprised it's that much, honestly. Commanders, I wouldn't touch the Commanders-Bills game, but the Commanders are plus 6.5. Houston plus 9.5. Probably one I wouldn't touch because I can see the Jags winning by 10, but 9.5 seems like a lot. And then the rest of them, Baltimore minus 7.5, and their defense will be a big-time problem for the Colts offense, so them covering that. Panthers plus 6. I think the matchup favors the Panthers, but the Seahawks are just a better team, and some injuries to the Panthers right now is the reason I picked straight up the Seahawks. Chiefs minus 12.5, Cowboys minus 12. Those are gigantic spreads. I'm always scared of those, but they should cover. Steelers plus 2.5. I like them winning the game, and they're getting 2.5 points. Eagles, Bucks, I wouldn't touch. Definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't. The last two I wouldn't touch. Eagles, Bucks, but I have the Eagles minus 4.5 and Bengals. Well, I say this for the Bengals, Rams. I wouldn't touch it if Burrow plays. If Burrow does not play, get on the Rams line as soon as you can because it's going to keep on going up, but even if it's a pretty big spread, I would take the Rams. Like, I don't know if it's going to go from 2. Like, if it's announced that Burrow's out, like, is it going to jump that quick from 2 to 15? I don't think so. You might see it go to like 10 first. I would like that. The Rams are going to win by more than 10. They might be win by more than 20 if Joe Burrow's out. So 20 might be pushing it. 17 maybe 16. But I wouldn't imagine the line goes that much. So I guess that's an interesting to watch out for. But we do have our best bets / locks video. It will be the next video we upload. And again, keep an eye out for those updated predictions here so you're kind of kept up to date. And then, we got all kinds of week 3 content already on the channel, more to come, so check us out. You will not be disappointed with our content. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. You see what Twitter subscribers get down here, if college football betting, things like that. Check it all out. We much appreciate it. Links pinned in the comments for anything you are looking for, giveaway, sponsors, social media, other recent videos, playlists, things like that. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.